let's discuss, let's chat about what has happened. Oh, goodness gracious me. United fans, this is a dark day. It's a dark day, it's a dark week, it's been a dark weekend. A weekend to forget. Even if we haven't lost a game, we certainly ain't won one. But then later that afternoon, the arch rivals, the immortal rivals of Manchester United Football Club, go and win their 20th title, top division title, Division 1 title. They have levelled Manchester United's record in domestic league success. And that's a problem because now we've gone from being recognised as the biggest club in the world and most, well, maybe in the world, to the biggest club in England, to now being recognised as finished and nothing of any significance whatsoever. And it really does feel like we've been bottled up, stuck in a jar. You know how sometimes you get those big jars with them like antique ships inside? They basically took Manchester United Football Club, stick Old Trafford inside one of those bottles, and then seal it up and then stick it in a time capsule, and then it'd be buried forever. That's kind of where it feels like Man United have essentially gone. So yeah, it's not great. Especially with his porn sound intro. It's still, I suppose, it's still better than I suppose a Disney sing along like Tont's entrance music, where you have Anthony belting out his Disney-esque voice, his singing voice. There could always be like I could potentially try and make it twice as insufferable, twice as sort of grinding the gears as Tony's entrance music. I could try. I could make it an endeavor of mine, but yeah, I think mine's all right. It's a little funky tune, and here's another thing. I haven't heard that this song is being used for anything to do with pornography advertisements anyway. So, at least my entrance music, at least to my knowledge, hasn't been affiliated to any of that simmery. So, we're okay out on these parts. We seem to be okay. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Liverpool are Premier League champions. And crowned yesterday, 27th of April 2025. And among other things, a few other aspects of the Premier League competition has been decided in its entirety across this weekend. And I suppose in certain aspects, of course, Man United will feel like, well, we are at the very bottom of everything. But then there's also something that we are very fortunate for. We're very lucky to have. And I suppose the the luck, the luck that serves us is that the bottom three teams, the three promoted sides, were out and out the three worst performing sides. And without them, without those three teams, my oh my, Manchester United's fates and fortunes could be a lot worse because, let's be honest, our current points tally, there have been teams relegated with our points tally. There has. It's happened in the past. So we can say that with Man United, and not in terms of points accumulation, right? We're currently sat 14th. You know, clubs have been relegated without points tally, and we're sat 14th. So that to me says one very obvious thing. If all three relegated sides are finished, are doomed, like season's done for them, and we haven't even hit May yet, the fact is that without those three teams, or if those three teams actually pulled the finger out, we'd see teams like West Ham inside, in and around the relegation zone. Tottenham would be there. Everton and Man United. Wolves would be doing themselves an absolute solid because they're currently on like a, I think there's 6 games, 6 game win streak currently at the moment for them. So they're really figuring things out. And even with those 6 games on the bounce that they won, they're still only 13th place and 2 points ahead of us. So, you know, for all of what it's worth as to how god awful we've been, it's I'll tell you what, it's definitely looked like for a team at the bottom side half of the table. If you get your act together, you actually overtake everybody in a heartbeat. And Wolverhampton Wanderers have proven that you can sort your shit out at the tail end of a season, albeit they have a certain setup, way of playing, some style of players at their team. They brought in a manager, I think that really complements that. And we've seen that there is a good level of synergy at that team now, and they get what it they understand the task at hand. They'll do that. They'll do the job. Manchester United can't figure out its arse from its elbow. Tottenham are obsessed with high line and getting absolutely walloped everywhere they go. West Ham have seemed to have walked face first into an identity crisis with Graham Potter's affiliation, and Everton. I think I think they're sort of still coming around a little bit. I think they've couple of the last 2 games have been really tough games for them, to be fair. Man City and Chelsea on the bounce. To be fair, they've only conceded 3 goals in both of those games, so it's not like they've gone to these places and just been walloped. They haven't. So I think, with all things considered, that I'm sure their next game at Ipswich, I see that I think they'll get a result quite easily there. But Manchester United, next game, Brentford away. Tough place to go. Really tough place to go. I know we've just got done down on the south coast with Bournemouth. I know that they're also a very tough side to play against. To be fair, looking statistically speaking, we weren't statistically that bad, but it's not. It's really not awe-inspiring. It's really not awe-inspiring. I think on the balance of play, what we saw with that game was just a complete abominable officiating performance. Just absolute mess of it. Top to bottom, left to right. Linesmen was shit. Referee was shit. VAR fourth official was shit. PGMOL was shit. And Stephen, who refs the Sunday League games up somewhere north, is also shit. But that's how bad or how messy the officiating has been in this game. And I think both teams had absolute clusterfuck decisions given against them. I think it's fair to say that I think Tyler Adams, I think it was, really, was it Tyler Adams? Was it Tyler Adams? Yes, it was. So Tyler Adams, I think, very fortunate to not get a straight red card because I think his studied challenge could have caused some, immeasurable damage to the player that he went in on. And then from that free kick, only seeing a yellow from that free kick, go on to score. And we're feeling like, what the fuck? Why is this player not being sent off? The second half, triple substitution on one of their players, Evan Nilsson, who gets sent off. I think the decision aspect of it, I think United quite fortunate with. It's just a bit of a mess overall, this game. And then Højlund's last minute equaliser, and he's just there celebrating. I'm like, brother, you do know how finished we are, right? This the kid does not use his brain. I swear, he does not use his brain. He's got a bit of caveman mentality, has Hoyland, and I see that with loads of people. It's all about giving time. He's young, he's still learning, and I'm thinking, come on. I mean, at the age, what is it now, 22? 22 years of age, I've seen players at the age of 22 actually, have a good solid head on their shoulders, use a bit of patience and wisdom, and actually look like they've progressed a little bit and that they've planted their footing more in the first team side of the game. Um, Hoyland doesn't look like he's found that whatsoever. I think he's very much feet still flying in the air, just not really knowing where he's at. I think I wouldn't say he needs really humbling as such. I just think he just needs to read the room, understand the situation, and instead of celebrating shamelessly, like, yeah, we scored a goal, yeah, final whistle goes, yeah, we won the game. No, we didn't, Rasmus. We didn't win the game. We drew. We lost 2 points and gained one. We lost two, gained one. You know, consider it like that. A draw is 2 points lost and only one gain. You take two steps back and then one step forward, right? I mean, that's kind of how we should be looking at draws. I mean, forget draws, call them drosses. You know, the matter that you lose more than you win. Just watching Leeds United versus Bristol City. What is the score for that? It is 2-0 Leeds, getting a hiding by you, Anthony. Does he remember, in Potter we trust? Absolutely. It's the only time where Voldemort would actually sing Potter's praises. So, yeah. But hey, back him, um, Sullivan all the way. Get backing in the summer. Get Tony really hyped again. And then opening Premier League game of next season, 8-0 to West Ham's opponents. I think that would be a fantastic start to the season. Fuzzy, did you like my Declan Rice song on last night's show? I've forgotten what the Declan Rice show song was. Weirdly enough, the only song that I can remember is the dodgy one that Tony sang about getting put on a registry. That's the only one really I can remember about finger, like Butterfingers or something, and then kids got involved, and then the sex offenders registry list gets involved. I mean, fucking hell. Absolute state of it. Question, Fuzz. Do you have work tomorrow? No, I don't actually. I don't have work tomorrow. Swivel on that one, Anthony. Hoyland got the goal, Fuzz. He did. He did get the goal. He got the goal, and whilst yeah, cool, you score the goal, but let's be honest, your goal tally this season has been absolutely abysmal. And it is kind of your fault. It is kind of your fault, Rasmus, that your goals tally is as low as it is. People will say, oh, but he doesn't get any service. Well, he has had plenty of times where the service was given to him and has failed to take a chance. But beyond that, plenty of times where he's had the ball at his feet, albeit not in a goal scoring opportunity. He certainly had the ball at his feet where he can choose to play the pass in a certain way or take the ball to somewhere else or hold up play. Just use your bodily strength. You're very tall. You've got a bit of muscle mass to you. use your body strength. The guy flops to the ground if the wind changes directions. Like, he is so weak on his feet. So unbelievably weak on his feet. Okay, fellas, don't rub it in with the Leeds United score. That's okay. It's okay, Anthony. Bristol City, Anthony, might not have the bottle. Yeah, your team might not have the bottle. But my Anthony has the bottle. Yeah, my Anthony has the bottle. I'm keeping that for ammunition. Bastard, no word. Absolutely. One watching, one live. Get more people in here. I might have to do a taunt and buy loads of viewers. Buy my viewers and subscribers. They'll buy me some friends whilst I'm at it as well. Sheesh. The state of it. The absolute state of it. But yeah. So the game with Bournemouth was a complete and utter shit show. And with the draw as the result, doesn't really push us up the table. But I suppose it's again focused back to midweek game, travelling to Bilbao in northern Spain. Hopefully they've got the electricity working over there again. Because let's be real, Spain and Portugal and some parts of France are kind of fucked right now because their power grids have suddenly got switched off, conveniently switched off, and for some reason everyone's like, "Oh my goodness, the weather's caused it." Like, shut up! What weather? There was literally no bad weather anywhere over these countries, and the power grids just goes kaput. Right, okay. Interesting. Ton always buying subs. Absolutely. See, it's the way you do business. It's YouTube business 101. Study up on the game, Anthony. It's part of the game. Get with the game. Get with the times. Fuzz, out of 10, with 10 being highest, how do you rate Man United's season? I'm going to say 1. 1 out of 10. It's a 1 out of 10 on the... Well, actually, no, I'll say 2. At the moment, it's 2. 1 point for not being relegated. And the second point for still potentially being in a competition that we can win. So I will grace the season with a very generous 2 out of 10 if we can secure Europa League. If we do that, it's a trophy, won a competition, and Champions League qualification. You're gifted the second point, but only really a 1 out of 10, just simply for not getting relegated, and that's as far as I can take my my generosity. I shan't take another step forward with that. And yeah, I mean, you can't really get much worse. You can get worse. So you can end up having a 0 out of 10 season next season. And I suppose if it's a 0 out of 10, you'll know why. You'll know why it will be a 0 out of 10 season next season, because Man United would have been relegated. So hopefully that is not the case, though. But yeah, I've got to be honest though. With this team, it does feel like, and I've had this conversation last night on the Sunday Night Takeaway show, where I try to get into a player's head or try and see the situation from their shoes and understanding why is it that perhaps a player in the modern game doesn't look as good. Why is it that they don't perform as well or significant as players in the past used to. Like, why has this become an issue as prevalent as it is now? Because judging by the season, that the Premier League champions have been crowned and all three relegated sides are confirmed before we've even made it into the final month of the Premier League football season, which is actually insane to me. That you might, I mean, it's not too far away either. The Champions League qualification positions being confirmed as well. I mean, at the moment, it's fifth place is the last place to qualify for Champions League, unless a British side wins the Europa League, and whoever basically finishes fifth gets replaced, and ends up being pushed into Europa League, and then Europa League pushed into Conference League, and then I think Conference League after that. Actually, I don't know. Conference League after that, I don't think. I don't think the Conference League necessarily. Actually, is that the? I don't know. I don't know if it pushes Conference League qualifiers out, but I think whoever was in the fifth place Champions League qualification gets just put down into the Europa League um, as a team that finished fifth. Like how it used to be. But yeah, Champions League qualification. I mean, the positions for Europe are pretty much done and dusted. I think next weekend, if Aston Villa, I think because it's 6 points difference between seventh and eighth between Aston Villa and Fulham. So if Aston Villa can convert a win in the next round of fixtures, and Fulham get anything other than a win, that's European competitions qualified, like fully qualified for. And all of these factors in the Premier League season are done before we've even hit May, which is insane to me. The fact is that Liverpool are champions with 82 points. They've won 25, drawn 7, lost 2, 48 plus goal difference with 80 goals scored. They are by far the highest goal tally in the league, by the way. 80 goals. The second highest goal scoring team in the Prem was Manchester City with 66. That's an entire 14 goals difference. And it's like, it's such low quality. And that's the Manchester City side. That's 18 wins, 7 draws and 9 losses. 61 points, 4 games to go. They can't really go that much higher. Even if they win all of them, they can't really go much higher than 70. That's an absolute disgrace of a season. Champions League qualification. Arsenal on 67 points. They've got Bournemouth at home next, still to play Liverpool. So there could be more dropped points up at the top end of the table. Newcastle looking like they are pretty much as good as. I think they'll probably beat Brighton. Yeah, I think Newcastle are pretty much nailed on to get this Champions League spot. Chelsea, questionable. I mean, Nottingham Forest, a game in hand, drawing on points with Chelsea at the moment. They've got Brentford to play on the first of the month, which will be on Thursday. So whilst they're playing, we'll be playing in the Europa League, and we will see if by the end of the night, if we have a season left to salvage. Because let's be honest, we could go to Bilbao and get completely steamrolled. It's possible. It's Athletic Bilbao, and even if they are missing a couple of their best players through injury, I would still very much not be jumping for joy, because we've proven that even insignificant sides with low quality have been able to best Manchester United, and they don't really need to dominate or actually perform better than our team, because with us, we can actually put in a fairly solid-ish performance. However, it takes a moment, and that's what we've got. Moment players. It used to be Moments FC. You'd be able to, score out of absolutely nothing and, clutch victory from the jaws of defeat. It used to be in that, used to be systematically like that. But now it's sort of become Moments FC that we can clutch um, defeat from the jaws of victory, and it's it, it's it's just how we've transcended through the layers of shit to get to this scenario where we even with just basic perform like even with good performances we can't actually win games, and it's a mentality. I don't necessarily say that quality is as decisive a factor in this. I just think mentality. You're not really that worried about the consequences of you know underperforming and not achieving. Manchester United, I'll probably say, is one of the most relaxed clubs in all of professional sport, um, that tolerates failure. One of the most relaxed, and from a player standpoint, at least, with a manager, it's probably one of the lesser forgiving. But that's kind of it. You've breeded this environment where players can really do whatever the hell it is they want, and they can get away with it. There's no real consequence. It's not like with Real Madrid, where if you act like a clown, those fans will come for you. If you think there's fireworks going off outside your house because somebody's celebrating something, think again. There's fans trying to break into your house because you fucked around, and you're going to find out. There's none of that fan culture here, so they're lucky that fans don't go rocking up outside of players' houses. But more importantly, they can put in some of the worst performances you've ever seen and still get applauded off the pitch, and they're just like, yeah, yeah, we tried, guys, we tried. Yeah, take your version of "we tried" and yeah, stick it inside a blast furnace and watch that shit burn. And put your hopes and your dreams in there as well, because your mentality means that anything you dream of, anything you really want in life, guess what? You're not going to have it, because you suck mentally. You really suck mentally. You're never going to get it. Uh, Depending on what money Man United got to spend next season, I can only see 3 or 4 players coming in. Well, yeah, I mean, 3 or 4 players, I'll probably say is what it's going to be. To be honest, I don't want that to be the case. I would really much prefer much closer to 10 players. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for this open heart surgery to happen that Ralph Rangnick said that we needed to have before Ten Hag ever came in. But yeah, uh, it is what it is with that open heart surgery. It's like a surgeon's told his operating team, this is what needs to happen to save this person's life. And they're still sat there to this day with the patient on the operating table and the instructions there. And they're like, there's these instructions, right? These are literally these explain to us how we save this patient's life. You think they're stupid? Same. Who needs instructions on how to save a person's life? Get the tools out and happy cutting. And that's kind of it. That's kind of where they've gone with this. And it does extend that sort of abbreviation into how the board has operated, because they don't really, make these decisions being well informed or well educated. Like how I believe that there is perhaps something to be said about managers making systems too complicated, but then boards not really understanding what it is they're hiring to put in these managerial positions, because they need to understand, you know, what it is in football that makes football tick, that makes football go, roll along. They're not really covering all bases here, right? They don't simplify the game. Board ownership does not simplify how they think about the game, right? They employ loads of people who are, super experts in all of these different positions. I mean, Manchester United's probably a worse case than most because we've got cycling analysts and, you know, petroleum chemicals people with Excel spreadsheets lodged into their heads. I mean, Jesus, should ask Elon Musk if he's used one of his brain chips and just stuck it in their brains. Perhaps there's a possibility that that's been the case. Maybe they've been got, people. Maybe they have been got. But really, it's you're expecting them with their convoluted ideas to really sit down with these football projects and say, well, we're going to solve a football club's sporting problems by breaking down with a blindfold the square root of pi and figuring out every single scientific calculation that is, divisible from these sets of numbers. And you're thinking, what does a number have to do really with football ownership? You've got a financial experts department, you've got one analytics department, you've got the medicals department. That is it. Yeah, the football analytics. You've got one group of people, the sporting directors, good shrewd businessmen, but very football orientated. They will go and do transfer business, and they will, they will come to gentlemen's agreements with clubs, and get business done, do good business, and ultimately, sign players that are the best players they can afford, that they can get, that they can attract in each position. And then the manager they employ is a manager that's very strong in personality, in in morals, in work ethics, and they convey and communicate their ideas very, very clearly. And it's simple. It's a lot simpler, straightforward. It's not masterful. It's not super, you know, problem solving, tactitional, you know, pass it here at 67th minute and the 28th second of the 25th minute, and you got to be over in this position, and you can only take 3 steps when you are making this run at this percentage of full pace, and then you must accelerate. Like, this sort of complicating the sport has got to go away. I do really feel like there's too many managers that really try to overcomplicate the game. And do I think Amorim is that? I think there is something to be said about him integrating that plan. Is too convoluted. It's too convoluted a plan to come in and convey all of this at once and then change everything and switch it on its head. This is always going to be a very slow burner with how complicated this system is. And now the board have really shot themselves in the foot because they've got to play the long game with this. They've got to play the long game. They can't get rid of the pressure on them overnight. They can't say, we'll hire this manager and he'll start getting results, right? And then we'll slowly back him, but we'll stay kind of out the limelight. You know, the limelight's completely on you. No one can look away from you. Everyone's fully paying attention to you. And Fuzzy, is that a cake in the orange box behind you? No, that's hobnobs. Those are hobnobs, those are. Nice classic hobnobs. They're slightly sweeter, like a honey honey-like flavour. Quite nice, to be fair. Quite nice, and also gluten-free as well, which is you know, it's not bad for a biscuit, for a gluten-free biscuit to sort of pack that sort of flavour. That with a cup of tea or coffee is proper stuff. Do recommend it. None of this McVitie's rich tea biscuits. None of that. Just go with these. Go with these hobnobs. Proper stuff. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm sort of understanding this. If I am to give any benefit of the doubt to the players. Now, I do still think that because what we see on the pitch are players not doing the basics right, would say to me that even if the tactics were simple, these players would still make the same mistakes at the same points in the game, in the same scenarios, even if if it was a classic 4-4-2 with Southgate at the helm, for example, Andre Onana is still flapping and costing us like huge amounts of goals. Um, Victor Lindelof will still look like a bum centre back. You know, Casemiro would still not have any legs. Bruno would still stink out the gaff in more games than not. Rasmus Højlund would still not show footballing intelligence. Like, the manager system do not change those factors. They don't, because the way the manner of the way these players are coming up short is very much an indictment on self-application to the task. And if you can't apply yourself to a task, you're going to get some very less than favourable results. And that is not good enough, guys. That is not good enough. But as for preparations on the next season, there's a few transfer stories going around, which we'll see if I can get some of that feed up on to my phone. But we've been linked again, by the way, to Victor Gyökeres, somebody who, despite all of the financial murmurings, we're still being linked to as a player that we're definitely going to get, that the deal is done, and it's like, and I am the second coming of Christ. Nobody believes it. So why would we believe in that story? Not that I am the second coming of Christ, because I'm not. You know, stand against the Antichrist, people. Stand against the Antichrist. But yeah, we're getting loads of these well, that's Rashford's loan done. Rashford is expected to miss the remainder of Aston Villa season with a hamstring injury. Fantastic. Brilliant. Great. He's going to come back. I swear to God, he's going to come back, and the board's going to be like, don't worry, we're definitely selling him. Is the transfer window's going to close, and then they're going to shoehorn him back into the team and just be like, oh my God, redemption arc. And then he's literally going to piss everybody off again from, game week 1. And it's going to be shit. And it's going to be awful, and it's going to be painful, and everyone's going to hate it. But yeah, to me, it's just, yeah, it's a load of shit. But it really does sort of sink in the politics of Manchester United, how they conduct their business, and what they might try to do as terms of cutting corners. And it really does worry me that the players that we have sent out on loan come back. The intention is solely sell, right? Anthony, Sancho, Rashford. Make sure they go and they stay gone and sell anybody else that has got to go. My worry is that this summer they will keep spinning the narrative that we've got to sell loads of players and that we're going to, but then turn around at the end of the season and say no market opportunity, or play it like nobody was interested, or the players that we think the players based off of our spreadsheets and scientific analytical data, we see that there is a mathematical chance, though less than 1%, there's still a mathematical possibility that this team could win the Premier League next season. And that is why we have decided to keep our inflated wage and all of the worst players and performers of Manchester United and force them to play and give them contract extensions because of less than 1%, still a mathematical possibility. Right? I'm not interested. I'm not interested in mathematical possibilities whatsoever. I do think that this summer there's going to be a major focus on what this board is doing, right? And the pressure is on, because I can imagine that Glazer out protests, Ineos out protests will hit full swing if we go into next season fully underprepared. Because let's just be real, the reason why we're not relegated this season is because everybody else this season has been that abominably shit. That bad. Everybody's been that bad, quite simply. And we've got issues. We've got issues. What happens if next season magically everybody performs, but Man United don't? Well, we can get left behind real quick. We all start on 0 points. There's no point gap, guys. There's no point gap to save us from the start of the season. People will be setting a point gap to us. Mind the gap, Man United. Mind the gap. We might run away from you. Burnley, Leeds. Fuck it, if Sunderland, get promoted. If Sunderland get promoted, fucking Sunderland could make a gap to us. We don't know how bad the politics of this club are going to be in the summer. The transfer strategy, we don't know how bad it's going to be. If we sign, key players, for key positions where we desperately need them, and we sell the players we need to, we can talk about a full pre-season training with this manager, a full pre-season of just figuring out what the system's going to do, and more players that fit what Amorim's looking to implement. And then we can I would still be slower to give Amorim stick, but I would say do the best you can with this. Hopefully, in the January transfer window, this board will still actually try to back you and actually sign you some players there, to sort of stabilise your ship or to plug a couple gaps for you. But fundamentally, the team next season be more well drilled or well versed in what the game plan is going into next season. Now, I think guys like Aiden Heaven will feature a lot more next season at the back. Certain Chido Obi, I think, could perhaps feature a lot more next season. Came on as a substitution yesterday. I still think that we need to give him a bit more time. I think pushing him a bit more in pre-season might be something worth doing. Although up top, we're chasing down Delap, and there will be a relegation clause there for Liam Delap. So hopefully, fingers crossed, doing a deal for Liam Delap, and it's not really the striker I'd really want to go for. I'd be more sound with between Osimhen and Gyökeres, but the club aren't going to go for those players. So if you're going to sign Liam Delap, fingers crossed, it's a project player that Amarim can actually progress and improve, and increase his ability. And it's not really the ideal. It's not really the ideal sort of player to sort of bring into the system to do that. To be honest, I can't lie. Uh, However, if we do sign Liam Delap, make it a cut price deal, right? You're gonna spend a hefty amount. I think probably the most expensive signing we're gonna make this summer, probably going to be Cunha. We need to sell players early doors, really early doors, because then we need to fund transfers like Edison. I think Edison for the midfield is going to be important. There's people talking about signing Adam Wharton. I'm thinking it's Crystal Palace guys. They charge premiums for any for any clubs in the Premier League. They charge premiums. You know, the fee that they got from Bayern Munich. Add another 20 million onto that. That would have been the price for every Premier League club. For Michael Elise, that is. So that's kind of the reality of the situation. We might be underwhelmed in the summer with transfer business. We might be underwhelmed. We might also surprise. We might be surprised. We don't really know, but there is that sort of pit at the bottom of your stomach. I can imagine that getting Champions League qualification, if we can do that, would be humongous for the transfer budgets. Absolutely gigantic implications on that, on our summer budget. We've really got to push hard for this Europa League, win this trophy, get the qualification money, and be able to make doing business, all that bit more easier. I do think that is going to be really important, really, really important. It could literally be the fork in the road that either decides Man United's destiny for the next, decade, several decades, will be complete and utter failure, or potential hopes for glory further down the line. So, fingers crossed we can achieve that. Also, Anthony, how are you feeling, buddy? It's 4-0 to Leeds. They've got nothing to play for. They're promoted. Like they're going up. They're literally Premier League side now, and they're still slapping you. And your season's not done. You still got to fight. You still got to fight to get into the playoffs, because Millwall could come to take your glory from you. But there you go. Well, Leeds are. Tell you what, Leeds are now back top, first place, for potentially winning the championship. So, but it is what it is. Leave your thoughts, guys, down in the comment section. What your feelings are about this Premier League season. Are you adulated that Liverpool have won? Are you disappointed? Do you think that this Premier League season has been underwhelming? Do you guys think that the Premier League has been a disappointment in deliverance of quality? Or do you think that this season has been a season to remember? I think it is the prior. I think it is been a disappointing season from the Premier League standard. We call everybody else a Farmers League, but the quality in our league is effectively on the floor. So yeah, don't forget as well to smash the likes and subscribe, and we'll be back soon because we've got the Bilbao game to discuss. Probably actually we'll do the preview for that game earlier morning, in the morning for the on the Thursday. That is, of course, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and hopefully Anthony can figure out how a mobile phone works, and actually join us on the stream. So we'll be online for the good, the bad, and the ugly, 8:30 p.m. on the Wednesday, and yeah, that's the plan. And anything significant, important, big breaking news, you'll hear it from me. Uploads, definitely, flash uploads, or maybe just quick lives and see how interested people are to know what my thoughts are. Maybe you guys hate my thoughts. Maybe you guys hate my opinions. I don't know. If you do really dislike my opinions, then um, do what old YouTube used to let people do and recreate Darth Vader's lightsaber with the with the with the red with the red dislike bar. They should bring that back, by the way. Bring that red dislike bar. Leave the worst videos on the internet with the biggest red dislike bars you've ever seen. Bring it back. You know, the equivalent of saying bring back bullying, but in YouTube form. Do that. Do that, YouTube. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Take care, and yeah, we'll see you guys again real soon. Ciao for now.